Day 3.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, man, we got a great guest on today. I have to go down to Cape May in the miserable weather today.
Well, hey, come on, man. It's okay. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll be all right when I don't know before it, but tomorrow will be great. Tomorrow will be
Hey, man, it's as long as everybody's if you force the smile, buddy, force the smile, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I look outside. It's like
this is a beautiful weather to go to Cape May.
Torrential downpours, dude. Craziness, but it's just gonna be great. So, third day in a row, and then
taking advantage of that spring break.
Yep, and then we'll take a little. We got some events this weekend, and we'll take a hiatus till probably next Friday, I guess, right? So, but yeah, we'll find.
Yeah, next Friday is a good one.
Finish up today with a great guest, Bergen County coach Rich Tuero, head coach of Lyndhurst High School. We just found out he's been there now 11 years. We'll let him talk about all the details of that. Really done a nice job of really building up that program. They had multiple state championship appearances, I believe. They've had some great athletes, great history there as well. We'll talk about that at Lyndhurst. It was one of the first. Like I remember, I don't know if why we were there. I can't remember because I don't think we played Lyndhurst at Powell Park, but it may have been we had to play there one day for something. I can't remember what it was, but I looked at that. They were one of the first people that had like a great weight room in there. They had a great weight room, and I'm sure it's only better now. But let's bring Coach on and talk more. Welcome, Coach, to the podcast.
What's up, guys? How we doing? Good to be here.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time.
Coach, I think it was the All-Star game that you saw.
Was it the All-Star game? Okay, that's what it was. I was trying to figure out what you guys have. Is it that the weight room is still?
Yes, sir, man. That's my baby. Yeah, hell yeah. We have a beautiful weight room, beautiful facility. I tell our kids all the time, I'm like, guys, you have no idea.
Yeah, you don't understand
how awesome this is. Like, this is big time. This is college. Like, this is nice. And we've been taking advantage of it, man. The kids been working hard, and I'm actually really fired up. But we have a beautiful facility, man. We're just blessed, and honestly, it has to do with having people in different places of power that are willing to come together for the kids. That's right. Really the reality of it. Our board of education, our superintendent, our town, our commissioners all come together, and because our rec programs use it, so it's really for the kids all the way through. And we are lucky enough to have plenty of fields in Lyndhurst, which is why when you come to Lyndhurst High School, it's just a football field, and that's rare. Most places you see a bunch of lines all over the place.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But it's mainly because we have, we call it our rec center. Down at the rec center, we have 2 big baseball fields, 2 softball fields, 5 soccer fields. So they didn't need to do it there. Yeah, we have a lacrosse field down there. So we actually are lucky. We have a lot of turf in Lyndhurst, which is awesome.
Well, Lyndhurst has always had a really good commitment to sports in the town.
Yeah, tradition, man. Tradition.
Yeah. Big tradition. And obviously it's passed down to you. Before we dive in deep here, just give everybody your background, playing background, coaching background, how you got to Lyndhurst, everything like that.
Yeah. So I'm Lyndhurst kid, born and raised. I got here. I actually started in North Bergen. My parents, I'm Cuban, so my parents came straight off the boat. Crazy story on their end. But we started out in North Bergen. I ended up moving to Lyndhurst in 3rd grade. Played football here. Went to Montclair State. Best school in the world, in my opinion. I played for the best coach in the world, Coach Giancola. That's where I met, all my boys. That's how I met Derek. And the network at Montclair State is absolutely incredible. But that was what an amazing experience. Just getting to play college ball. I didn't really have a shot. I was I went to Lyndhurst High School. I wasn't all state. I wasn't all county, all world. I was in the BCSL national. I had heart. So I went to Montclair State. I'll never forget it. I'm like, with all these guys, who's all state? Who's this? Derek was a freaking all state player. Like, I was 2nd team all BCSL, but I said, yo, you know what? I'm going to play. I busted my butt. Yep. Ended up starting as a sophomore all the way through senior year. Never missed a game.
Never stopped.
I took pride in that shit, man. Like, I was like, yo, yeah, I didn't have all those accolades, but I'm going to bust my butt. And the reason I'm even talking about that is because I give that to Lyndhurst. Like, my coaches at Lyndhurst, that grit, that's what they taught us. And ultimately ended up pushing me to get through college and then coming back to my hometown and getting his job. You would think, he's a Lyndhurst kid. It was hard as hell to get this job, man. Getting my teaching job was easier than getting the football job. I went through 3 interviews, like crazy panels, all this stuff to get the football job because a lot of people wanted that job. There were some big coaches, Jermaine Johnson. He's at Montclair now. Jermaine Johnson put in for that job. Great coach. Zach Nascimento, remember Zach? Crazy guy, love him.
Yeah.
Also a great coach, So there was a lot of people going after that job, and I'm telling you, I didn't think I was getting it. I was like, I'm not going to get this job, and thank God I did because I couldn't be happier. I love these kids. I love this town. I love the tradition. I'm proud of this place, and I'll be here for life. We all get opportunities. I'm sure you, especially you, Coach Schuman, with all your success as a coach, you get these opportunities like little things, college, like, small time jobs, but some guys have dreams to do that. And thank God my family, my wife, and like made me realize, I got it all right here. Like now, I don't need to go and have a title or look cool in a logo. I got my kids right here, man. And I love it to death. It's my 11th season as the head football coach at Lyndhurst High School. I've been here since 2009. I started, Scott Rubinetti hired me in 2009 as an assistant. My first head coach here was 2014. And this is going to be my 11th season, and I still can't believe it. It's like, holy cow, how did we get here so fast? It's wild.
Yeah, man.
We had some good, we had some really good years, and it's really a testament to these kids, man. They worked their butts off. Never in a million. Like when I first got the job, my goal was like, I hope we can win the league one day. Now, we won the league multiple times. We went to 2 state sectional finals, 1-1. Like, holy cow. And I got a great staff. I got a great support system. Like I said, my administration is unbelievable. My athletic director, Jeff Radigan, is awesome. He's always supporting me. I couldn't do anything that, all the success we've had, it's really a testament to the kids, the town, and my coaches, man, more than anything else.
No, it's the tradition of Lyndhurst football. Like, you really fit in really well, and not only do you fit in well, you've really elevated Lyndhurst football. So Lyndhurst football always had a good tradition, a solid tradition,
Sure.
but it wasn't like you turned into a powerhouse, in North Jersey in Group 2, and it's become a place that people know that, like, when they play Lyndhurst football, like, they got to be ready to go. And a lot of people don't know, like, I saw it on your timeline, like, because you guys probably on Twitter each year remember it, but Lyndhurst is, one of their most famous players.
Yep.
Schubrich's brother, right?
Yeah,
so Teddy Schubrich was the subject of the movie, We Are Marshall, right? So
yep.
that was he was in there in the beginning, and he was, the quarterback of the team when the plane went down. So I'm pretty sure it's still named after him, the field and everything like that.
Yeah.
And Lyndhurst goes back to way back then. They've been playing football for a long time. It was a well-known program back then, and Teddy Schubrich's brother, like, has really gone and built up a huge, as a football coach, was there as an assistant, and as a track coach, which you're now doing. That has become one of the things that Lyndhurst has really rallied around as a history of part of their program, and always honoring not just the Schubriches, but like what football means to the town. And I think it's a unique place from that standpoint. I lived there once for a year in 2001. I was rented over on Thomas Ave. I think I lived.
Wow.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't know that's a fun fact. I don't know.
Yeah, fun fact right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Well, this will also be so. One of the guys that was my roommates I was young then. Was I went to high school. His name's Anthony Artieri. His brother is he on your staff anymore? Cousin, I mean. Artieri, do you have an Artieri?
Artieri is my OC, man.
Yeah, there you go. So
Artieri is my OC.
Small
Patty
world,
Artieri, yep.
bro. Here it comes. Here it
wild.
comes.
So
Everybody
I've
knows
spent a lot of time in Lyndhurst because of Patty, his older brother, who I believe is a cop in town, right?
Vinny's a detective. Yep.
So I spent quite a bit of time in Lyndhurst. and then of course, you wouldn't know this, but many years ago, their grandmother was from Nutley, so right across the way, right across the bridge there.
Sure.
And so Lyndhurst is I'm familiar with it, tradition, and having guys that are Lyndhurst guys. Patty, obviously, Arteri's a Lyndhurst guy.
Sure.
You're a Lyndhurst guy, and you've been able to build a program like that. And it's really translated in an amazing way. Like when a town gives the opportunity to someone like you and gives them a chance to build. That's the hardest thing sometimes when you go back to your hometown, right?
Sure.
Getting the chance to build because people are familiar with you. They know of you, right? And you've had that opportunity, they've given you the opportunity, and you've really run with it. Talk about what the culture that is so unique to Lyndhurst. I touched on a little bit. I'm not doing it justice. Talk about that culture.
No doubt. So I'm glad you brought up Coach Shu, Coach Vuno. Like these guys, these were my coaches, right? These were our coaches, I should say. And that's all, I have it. It's in my brain, all the quotes, tradition never graduates, loyalty above all else except honor. These are all the things I learned from my coaches, man. And all of our traditions, all of our Lyndhurst pride, everything is Lyndhurst pride. And it really comes from Shu and Vuno. And I'm so glad you brought up Coach Shu because Marshall is the same kind of school. And you see that from the movie and people learn that. But that community, all those people had is football, right? Like we have other sports here and baseball's huge here and track's huge here. But everyone always says, Richie, football drives the bus, man. It's the truth, the whole year goes off of how good football is. Like
100%. 100%.
It's crazy, but that's what it is. And in a town that cares like this with the traditions we have, we're still doing our dinners on Thursday nights like we always did. We still do. We walk our L at the end of the season. So many traditional things that were taken. I got it from my coaches that were here, and they got it from their coaches from before. Yep. That's the pride in Lyndhurst. And there's, Coach Shu. It's so funny. Shu calls myself, Patty, and Joe Casagnetti the final guys, the final three to keep this thing going. And that's the truth. I mean, Patty Altieri does a great job with the baseball program. He took over for Butch Video, who is a long Lyndhurst legend guy, and Patty instills those traditions through the baseball program. Now I got track, like I told you. Yeah. I never in a million years thought I would get track, but luckily I got so close with Coach Shu, who I love with all my heart. I mean, we talk all the time. He's retired right now, and I know it kills him because I know he wants to be here, but he had to do what he had to do for his family, for his life, for his health. And for me, it gives me pride to just try to do great for him and show him, hey, Coach, I'm keeping this going the way you did it. To me, that means the world, and it's all based on, like you said, tradition of this town. It's hard to be a head coach in the town you grew up in. It's very hard. You navigate through all the nonsense. There's people, like you said, people know me. People think that, I'm going to make decisions based on how long I know you rather than the right thing sometimes. And you get put in positions. But I think what's helped me is just, I always say, do the right thing, right? Like whatever it is. And I navigate through the nonsense and through some of the, let's say, hate. There's not really much hate. There's a lot of love. But we get through that, and I have the greatest job in the world. I'm so grateful to be here. I don't ever want to go anywhere. I love these kids. Like, this year, my senior class, like I said, I've been here for over 14 years, but like this senior class, I've known these kids since they were little. Like Roddy Marino, I know since he's my tailback now, linebacker. I know him since he's 5 years old.
Yeah, like
Sean Bellinger.
These kids and them
I know these kids forever. I watch them grow up. Anthony Amaro, Sean Bellinger, Michael Longo. The list goes on. I mean, and it's every year, but now it's like, I watch these boys grow up, and it's the greatest thing in the world. I love these kids with all my heart. I have 2 daughters, so people always mistake me, but I call my daughters my girls, and I call my football players my kids. Those are my kids. Like I love them to death, and I know everyone knows it. Like I don't hide it. I'm out of my mind. I'm over the top with exposing these kids and giving them love and success on my Instagram and all that stuff. But it's because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. If I don't, who will? A lot of these kids have rough lives at home. They don't have all this love. And to me, it brings me joy to do this for these kids. I love my job. I love where I'm at. I feel so blessed. I literally thank God every day. You know, it's not about money. It's all about just being here in my hometown, helping out Lyndhurst kids, just like my coaches did for me.
Yeah.
The investment that the town has put over the years. You talked about it on before we got on, but in the facilities, the fact that you have you mentioned that you had a football. Your turf is football only, but it's not like the other sports don't have. They have ample fields all over to be able to play in, and their own fields. And I think that is, for those people who are listening, don't know Lyndhurst. Lyndhurst is a blue collar town. Okay, for the most part. I mean, I'm sure you have people, obviously, because it's so close to the city that go in. But for the most part, hey, there you go.
There's one.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
What's up, stud?
But yeah, it's for the most part a blue collar town. People work hard, and they want to invest in the community. Like I said, when I lived there for the year, like the Ortieris would be like, "Oh, hey, this so and so lives over here by you. So and so lives over here." Like, and it was like there was a barbershop I used to go to around the corner, and it used to charge. What's that?
You go to Anthony's barbershop.
Yeah, we charge $5 for a haircut.
Yeah, yes. That was my quarterback's grandfather.
Yep, there you go. See, $5 for a haircut, and the only reason I knew about it was what's Patty O'Teary's older brother's name? Vinny. So from Vinny told me, he was like, you got to go over here this week. It was like really right around the corner, right? $5.
Walk, yeah.
It was incredible. So but that to me, everybody knew each other, and when you would sit there, he would talk to you about the different stuff that was going on in Lyndhurst, and it's that kind of pride in the town, and that really makes it unique. And it's a unique town in the sense that that it's been able to hold those traditions in an area that is fairly transient too.
Correct.
Right?
Like you have a lot of in and out with
you do have in and out as well, right? Because the train station's right there. Yeah. People can move in, they can move out. So the ability to be able to do that through all that is I think is really, really unique, and it's pretty darn cool that and Lyndhurst has such pride in it. Like there's such pride in the town and Lyndhurst. And I tell you, it's tell me about like when you go around town. First of all, there's the best bakery maybe of all time might be there too. What's the name of that bakery that's right on
Pastry Shop? Lyndhurst Pastry Shop.
That place is unbelievable. Yeah. So they those kind of traditions stick around for forever, as long as possible in Lyndhurst. Talk about what it's like for your players around town, when they're going around town and they're doing well. What is it like for them?
Dude, so I'll go back to when we were winning, right? Obviously, we won a division last year, but I'm talking about 18, 19. We went to the state finals, and then when we won it in 19, the kid, it was like what's that show? Friday Night Lights, dude. These kids were getting, we were going to the diner and get a free meal over here. Everybody coach. The kids, the players, they were going, Coach, I got free lunch today. I'm like, yo, take advantage of it because you never know. When we won the section, the town gave us a parade. It was the coolest thing I've ever been. When I go down Valley Brook Ave now, I'm always like, yo, this was unbelievable. And it was it all goes back to that tradition, man. This one of the coolest things for me, right? We had this guy George Schifano, a former Lyndhurst, is a Lyndhurst alum. He throws an alumni dinner every year, and it's really for all the older alumni, and it's all sports, but mainly football guys, older guys. Okay, when I'm there, I'm the youngest guy there. I'm 39. One of the coolest stories for me was when I was there at the alumni dinner. I think it was that year 19. Guys telling me the stories of going to the state sectional championship game to watch us play with their old jackets and seeing their old buddies from the 70s, the 60s, the 80s. That to me was the coolest thing ever, because even though we went to that bowl game at MetLife and got our asses whooped, I lost my horse. You know how that goes. You lose your horse in Group 2, it's over. My stud, Peter Partilla, he had broke his ankle. He had fractured his ankle in the sectional final. Tried to play at MetLife, didn't work. He had 2 carries for 20 yards on one ankle. But when I'll never forget this moment before the game. Probably the best moment of the game because I said we got our asses kicked that day. But I turned around and I looked at the stands and like a whole section at MetLife was the entire town of Lyndhurst. Excuse me. And it was so cool, dude. So cool. And that's the tradition. Everyone came out. All the varsity jackets you saw from the years, it was awesome, dude. It was just awesome. I can't express it any other way. It was just so cool. And that's this town. That's Lyndhurst, man. And that's, I feel like it's our job as these, me, Patty, and Joe Casagnetti are the 3 real core Lyndhurst coaches that are left. It's our job to keep this thing going and pass this on to other kids. And I got a guy, Danny Kisak, who's on my staff, former player. You probably know him. I think you coached against him or maybe in the All-Star game, Coach Schuman. Danny Kisak, he's on my staff. He's a Lyndhurst kid. He in 2011, when we 8-seed Lyndhurst beat Rutherford, Danny Kisak was the quarterback, and he was the reason we won that game. A huge reason we won that game, I should say. He's a kid we're grooming. Matt DeMarco, another former Lyndhurst superstar. He's on my staff. He's the head wrestling coach. He's another kid that,
that's good, man.
We just keep it in the family. My staff, I couldn't have a better staff than I have right now. Like, we got core Lyndhurst guys. Tradition, bro. It's all about tradition with this town. I always say it. Like, I love, it's not that I only hire Lyndhurst guys. I got guys from other towns on my staff.
Sure.
The Lyndhurst guys, like, it's different because they know. And they understand
the tradition. They know
what I expect and what we're doing. They know my why. There's no questioning. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
That's a big deal. And as Lyndhurst, as you coming out in that stadium, what was it, MetLife you guys played in, and that first time seeing that crowd, it's just like you're just like, oh yeah.
Chills. It was unbelievable. My dad on the sideline.
Hell, it's not like, that most of them probably walked there.
Yeah, I mean, no, like they all tailgated, that's for sure. But, like, I had my dad and my brother on the sideline. Like, it was just surreal, man. And
and you also did something, dude. You did something really cool, and I can remember Dave and I actually talking about it when it was going on. When those guys, and I know it was COVID or whatever, but when you got their rings, bro, you went to every single one of their houses and delivered their rings, bro,
dude.
And you saw the different reactions from each. I mean, who was this? Who was crying?
Yeah.
I mean, bro, that was just something on a different level. And to be honest, like, I thought it was just so cool, but I can't help but think, dude, like, the way that we coach, right? And look, I went to Butler, same type of traditional type of program, but man, playing for Coach G and Montclair State, like, I think that really just shaped who we were even more so. Look, you weren't an all-state player, but he gave you the opportunity. And then what? Like, we just, like, that's same thing for me, right? Like, I was transferring in from a different place, like, didn't really have a home. He just did something to you that had absolutely nothing to do with football and just made you feel a certain way that I'm going to run through a wall for this guy no matter what. I think guys like us, it's easier for us to relate to a guy like Coach G because he just cared about so much more off the field and how you doing and what's going on with your family. And that stuff really showed us, like, that he cared on a different level. Now when we get to the field, like, sure, coach, I'll run 10 gassers for you, whatever you want me to do. Right. The football stuff became easier because you knew ultimately he cared about you. You weren't just like another number in a jersey, and you spent way more time with him than I did.
Yeah.
For everybody that doesn't know, Coach G is the O-line guy.
Hell yeah.
15 minutes before practice, these guys, the linemen are in the bleachers, and he's on a marker board going over what we're doing for practice.
Every day.
Then they just go right down into lineman land, which wasn't even on the field. It was
not even on the field, on the
20
pad.
yards of turf that they just stayed over there and did their thing. But I can't listen. The ring thing, man, was so unbelievable. Like,
let me tell you something. That was awesome. And that was one of the longest days of my life. It took me 8 hours to deliver all those rings.
Hell yeah.
I didn't realize when I signed up for this. Like, I was like, oh, this is a great idea. And I'm like, babe, we're going to do it. And then, like, I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like 2 hours in. I only got like 12 rings done. I got like 6 to go. And it was like, but you know what? I was like, I ain't stopping. Like, there's no way. Every kid's
no, man, it was awesome.
You know, every kid's got their, and they're like, oh, look. And now they're all waiting. They're like Christmas. Like, is he coming? So, like, yo, one kid I delivered. I don't know if you remember. I delivered it to a kid. He was working at Wendy's.
Yes, he went through the drive-thru.
I ordered food. I brought him his ring. Jordan Werner. I mean, yo, awesome. Like it was so cool. And I was like, I had the ring sitting on actually this table right here where I'm at. I'm
just
like,
laid out.
These rings. We spent our whole lives waiting for these rings.
Right.
I got them, and I just did it. And you know, again, the support, the love, like that shit went viral. It went crazy. I was on NBC News. I was on national news. I was getting interviewed from people. I had famous sports guys calling me up. I'm like, yo, this is insane. Bruce Beck. I'm like, this is awesome. And to me, like, I was like, I don't get why it's such a big deal. Like, this is what it's supposed to do.
To us, that's
but they were like, no,
normal.
You're amazing. I'm like, no, I had to get the kids their rings. Like, I didn't see it that way.
You're like, I'm doing what I think is part of the
job. I genuinely, when I did all that, I did not think it was going to be a big deal. Like, I was like, oh, people are going to say, like, oh, yeah, Rich, good job. You know, thanks. It went off, which is cool. I'm grateful for that. But, like, my intent was not, I just wanted the kids to get the rings.
You weren't planning. You weren't expecting to be like, "Hey, I'm doing this for my," like,
no way,
like this is the me show. Like, look.
I was actually scared. I was scared that people were going to give me shit because of the COVID stuff, and that I was going near these kids. And there were actually like randoms on Twitter, like not real human beings, like people.
Yeah.
Out of this world.
Listen, Dave.
Some guy. This is real. Somebody messaged me and told me how wrong I was and how dangerous I was and how I should never put kids in risk for a ring. And he blocked me. I'll never forget. I still have it saved.
Listen,
I went to respond. Thank you very much for your concern, whatever. But he blocked me and everything. It's actually funny.
Listen, Dave's got 500,000 followers, bro.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
He understands. He gets stuff, and
I'm sure
he's got the best thing. You write something, block, done.
That's it.
Bye.
Yeah, it's
Not even a
unbelievable.
response. He knows the game, bro.
Yo, it's crazy. No, but back to Coach G. Like, yo, Coach G, and I'm going to be very clear. He is one of the greatest human beings, and I know you know this, Derek. Is one of the greatest human beings on the planet Earth. That man believed in me, like we said. Like, he's the reason why I knew I had a chance.
Yep.
And because I'll never forget anything that man's done for me. And like you said, I'll run through a wall for him. Yep. But the true testament, and Derek, we've talked about this before. Coach G is not only one of the greatest coaches of all time, not only one of the greatest people we'll ever meet, but his work as a coach speaks for itself. Look at all the coaches in New Jersey. Majority of guys are Montclair State guys, man. Head coaches, assistant coaches, played for Coach G. And it's unbelievable. And it speaks for itself because that man molded some awesome, awesome coaches all through New Jersey. North, South, Central, whatever you want to call it.
Across the board.
That's what I've learned from doing all these podcasts. Is like, how many coaches from Montclair State are there? You know, I'll tell you something that I think is interesting too that you brought up about Coach G and Derek brought up too. I don't know if this is just obviously where you guys played and because of Coach G, you know how he is, or is it a product of Division III that you understand that those guys are still paying something to play there? Like when I played at UConn, the players had great relationships with each other, but not every coach had great relationship with the players. So, you know, from that standpoint, because we were all on scholarship and literally those guys were a lot of times looking to move up. You know
they were looking for their next job,
their next gig, and obviously your performance hinged on that, right?
Sure.
So
of course,
so I think that, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's some level of unique to D3, but and obviously Coach G is a special guy, but I think that in a strange way may allow you to have a real relationship with your players because you understand they don't have to be here, right?
100%.
Like our guys had scholars, like very few guys, unless they became like, alcoholics or something like that, they were not giving up their scholarships. You know what I mean?
Right.
Willingly, right? Like no one was giving up their scholarships willingly. They were gonna do whatever they had to do to keep it. And there were guys that obviously performed at a really high level, and there were guys that literally would, ride in their scholarship. We were like, man, this guy's on scholarship, and
they didn't care.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So at D3, you get that unique thing where you got to build relationships with your players. Obviously, Coach G did it at a different level. That's my
understanding. For a long time, too.
Otherwise, you guys wouldn't all be coaches, right? If you didn't have.
Right. And it's crazy because, look, even we've had guys on the show, right? Like, Billy Johnson, right? Like, he coached there and then he did whatever. I had Coach Santoro on yesterday, right? Like, these guys were there. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. And, like I've said to Dave, like D3 was so different for us, bro, because, we didn't have to be there at 5 a.m. workouts. We didn't have to be doing all this stuff. Coach G just approached it in a different manner, knowing like, I know this guy doesn't have to be here. If I don't show that I care about him, then he's not going to be here. Right. And he just had a rare way of doing things for a long time.
Yeah, man. 40 years.
I mean, the same type of it was and look, did we have some phenomenal players that we were there? Absolutely. But I think he also got the most out of every single one of us individually by just being there supportive, saying, hey, I got you. Hey, don't worry about it. Right. Like you were never afraid to approach Coach G about anything. And I think that's so different because as a head coach, I mean, how many of these guys can walk up to their coach and explain a situation to him and be okay? And, hey, coach, I got to leave a little early today because I got this for school. Okay, Most, just let us just let us know, Most. And look, you get fired up.
No, so true.
I'm
the same way. Right.
Monotone,
I try to be the same way, Derek. I'm so glad you said that because I try to be the same way, man. Like, that's how I am with these kids. I tell them, number one rule in my program is don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth. Just tell me what it is, because I'm going to find out if you lie, and then you're going to lose my trust, and then it's over.
Coach G knew the issue before it even happened.
Yeah, I'm like, yo,
he was there
you
for
got
so
something.
long. He like his phone. I mean, and listen, we were like our program, like Montclair was known for a certain way before we got there, right? And Coach G, but the thing about Coach G would always take a risk on some of those guys that other programs wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
And if it worked, like he would try, like, and give you that opportunity. Now, if you went and did something that kind of did, wasn't the right way to do it, all right, then we part ways. But he was at least willing to give some of those guys a shot.
That's for sure.
And majority of them spun it back to be on track. And it was like, thank you, Coach G. Right.
For sure, man. For sure. It's crazy. When he retired, everybody was buzzing, right? Who's getting the next job? I got people call me. I'm like, yo, there's guys way ahead of me, baby.
Yeah, man. Like
I would love that job, but like, yo, I got respect for my elders. Like, and this is not taking anything away from Mike Palazzo, who worked his butt off and did everything he could to earn that job, and he's doing a great job. I just thought, there would be other guys that would I thought there would be interviews and all that stuff. My guess was Danny Garrett. I thought Danny Garrett was going to get that job.
We all thought.
But it worked out the way it did. And again, Mike is awesome. Mike's been there forever. Mike played with us. Palazzo is there. He's been working his tail off in the system as an assistant coach. And listen, kudos to him, man. I'm happy for the guy.
Absolutely. And we talk about it all the time.
Job.
Like you look like you don't want to be Bill O'Brien taking over after Joe Paterno, right? You want to be James Frank. Like you want to be the next one after that.
Yeah.
Right. Because to follow a guy like that.
Yeah. Right. But like I said, Mike's doing a great job. He's so, I don't know how to word this correctly, but like he's so into the now. I don't want to say he's like a newer coach because he's not a new coach. What I mean is like
he gets what the kids want to see now.
This generation.
Right? And that's what Dave and I talked about. Like, Montclair is now more
he's going to get kids because of that. He's going to get kids, which is awesome. which is awesome.
Right, because for a couple of years you kind of look at Montclair and it's like, oh man, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
know.
Like, and look, we're always going to judge it a certain way.
Yeah, right.
But you know, like even Dave was like, oh wow, he's more out there, right? Like he's more, you know, visible. He's doing this, he's doing that. You know, he's adding black to the uniform. He's updating that stuff. Like he's doing more of this social media
we started
stuff.
that. Derek, we started the black, bro. We started that. Dave, this is a great story, man. Our last game ever.
Yep.
One of the guys on our team, Gary Andrzejewski, he just put together, he's like, yo, we're all going to wear black socks, Nike socks. And he collected all the money from all the guys. And coach had no idea until he saw us come out and the whole team had black socks on. And he was like, oh, I can't believe we did this to coach.
And I'll never forget it because we were coming out of the tunnel. Yeah. Right, we were getting in like our warm-up lines or whatever, he just looked at us and he was like, all right, got me with the black socks, go win the damn game.
Yeah,
and
we did.
It was like, oh, okay, here we go, dude. He never said a thing about it.
Crazy, bro.
Not a word. Never a word, man. And he was like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. Like,
yeah, it was sick.
It was wild. But yeah, that was our last game.
Do they wear black? Do they wear black socks to this day still?
Well, no, now they've transitioned to it. Yeah.
Okay.
They basically got rid of navy, so we had like it used to be red, navy, and white.
Yeah, it was really.
It was navy. Yeah, the outline was navy blue. Yeah.
Yeah. Montclair was always that.
And then they got rid of the navy, and now it's black. So it's and it looks fresh, like Palazzo's uniforms.
Looks great.
Palazzo's uniforms and the swag is fresh, dude.
Right. Yeah.
Like fresh.
And it's a nice look. And facility wise and all that, like they put in the new students that like they put in a new you can't. If you looked at campus when we were in school compared to now, it's not even close. Like it's not even.
It's close. Sick, dude. It's sick. Yeah.
So they've really updated it. Like it's always going to be a solid school to go to. You want to, like Dave, we talk about, you want to be a teacher, go to Montclair.
Right.
You know, like that type of stuff. So they're always going to get that appeal.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of D3s right around here that kind of compete for the same type of kids. And we talk about it, like kids just don't want to go D3, bro. There's a stigma that drives me insane.
Drives me nuts, dude. Go where you're wanted. Forget about all the D1 nonsense. Like just go where you're wanted. And if you're great, it'll work out. Like that drives me nuts. But
do you have to deal with any of that with your players? I'm sure.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially your guys, because your guys.
I got kids that would rather not play than go play D3, and it's
we've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. That's become
It does, because we know what playing D3 did for us, right? But there's also a certain amount of love that you have to have for that game. And 100%. If you don't love it, then you better not go play D3, bro, because look, 8-hour bus rides are not fun. And then, you know what I mean? Like that stuff that goes along with a D3 program. But then I look at it and I'm like, man, Cortland just won the national championship. And I said, and they whooped our ass every year we played them. I said, but at least we were up there throwing punches. And these guys just won the national championship. I said, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. But yeah, listen, I'm a big advocate of D3, man. I try to get these kids all the time. My last kid to go D3 to play all 4 years and finish was state champ, Anthony Lembo. He went to Stevenson, and I was at his last game. He had a great career, man. He had a great career. He's going to graduate this year, and, you know, I couldn't be happier for him. I couldn't be prouder of him.
I've also seen a lot of, like, these guys, like, that want to play ball. Like, hey, man, maybe, like, do you want to go to that FCS and sit the bench for 3 or 4 years, or do you want to get higher academic and go D3? Like we talk about, you know, even like a D2, like a St. Anne's, right? Like we're talking high academia stuff. Like, bro, like you can go and do this.
Or Amherst or Williams or
like a Kobe. Like, like if you want to play football, you can do this.
It's really frustrating that everyone cares about the look, and they care more about the look and how you know, big time or cool they
like
are.
Perception. And
the perception, perfect word. Rather than the experience of getting to play and really being a college football player, regardless of the division.
That's it.
You know, the memories I have from college, like Derek, when we see our guys. Like, how great is that? It's priceless.
It's like nothing's changed, dude. It's like
It's
you're
priceless.
still back
The
with
network,
you're
like,
just back in the locker room and somebody's taping my locks.
yeah, we had
like,
those beef things. Like, when I see the boys from Montclair State, like, it's like, yo, it never changed. Like, yo, what's up? Like, everything's great. We're just older. That's it.
Yeah. It's just like you
it's
go
really
right
an
back
awesome
to
thing.
it.
What do you say to your kids when they say they want to, they hem and haw on D3 and because that's it, obviously a lot of it too is parents. They have the dream as much as the kids do.
Sure.
And that's the main, like, they're the ones that are like, oh, I think you're better than D3, and it's like you shouldn't be D. See, I don't think people understand. Just because there's a number next to it, I said, Rich, we played with some dudes that were Division I guys, 100%. Like, they got started at most D1 programs. Some of these guys we played with or against.
Yeah, no
you
doubt,
know what I mean?
bro.
And I just think that, look, a lot of people just don't understand. Like, some of these guys are here because, look, maybe they weren't really good in school and they weren't focused on their grades, so that hurt them. Personal lives, right? Like, off the field stuff matters, right? Like, that stuff used to come into play a lot more. You know, I just don't think people understand. Like, but when that whistle blew and we were out there playing football, like, we played with some guys that were like.
Remember Al Hawkins? Al Hawkins was in the MLB. Al Hawkins, Elizabeth. Remember him? You got to remember Al Hawkins. He was a quarterback. Yeah, like. He played MLB baseball, came back and was a quarterback for us. He was the man. Like oh my God.
Henson. Yeah.
Like it's so back to answer your question, Coach. I tell him straight up, like, yo, go where you're wanted. Like, I understand you want to, if money is the issue, there's ways around that too, but don't tell me like you got to go D1 because you need a scholarship.
Right.
Because especially now with the portal, recruiting is, dude, it's not like it used to be. Nope. And I'm talking to you. You know recruiting more than anybody. Yep. I used to have 1,000 coaches coming in, talk to the kids. They don't even
come anymore.
They don't even come.
Why? Because dude, here's what it is.
It's all done on the portal. I don't even like. I try to reach out to coaches. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to the kid. Don't worry about it." All right, no problem.
Dave, we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
that's
a huge.
The head coach is being almost cut out of it.
I'm cut out.
You
are cut out. You know what it is. And part of it is that everyone's just sending them huddle links, right? So by time they get to you as a coach, they've already sifted through your kids.
Right, they already know.
Well, they kind of put them in a couple of groups, like
categories,
yes, no, maybe, right? So, but it's not the coaches, like the position coach, like their staff underneath, the GAs. They're sifted through all that first. So, part of it is that they're like, oh, they're so inundated with all these prospects that they don't have to go anywhere unless it's literally warranted. Because the old days, like back when you first started as head coach, and I was still up at Powell Park, like, Ryan, I tell people this all the time. Ryan Day used to come and sit with me when he was at BC. Like, all the guys would come to visit because I ran the camp, so I also knew players besides the kids that I had.
Right.
And they would sit with me at basketball games, and I would just like they'd be half looking at my player, but want to talk about like all the other kids, right? And they would come and sit down. I mean, Halfley, all these guys, they would all come in and they would sit down. We talk. If one of my players was a guy they were interested in, great. If not, they would talk about other players in the area, right? And they would get a lot of information that they trusted from that manner. And not just from me, but like they used to do that with Coach Nicholas.
Right, they would do it with other coaches.
They used to do that with Coach Dunn.
So how good is he, right?
Like I talked with Coach Dunn about this. And, obviously from Old Japan, he because I've been their analyst for the last 3 years, behind the scenes on the computer. And they the recruiting thing, man, like guys used to come in and see him all the time. And he has still Division I guys, but they don't come in the same way. And when you're used to one style, like that style to me, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Coach Tuero, that built relationships with the coaches. So when you needed something or he needed something, you guys could help each other. Sure. Now it's like totally like, what do you have? Okay, that guy's not all right. We don't think he's good enough. I'll talk to you next year type of thing. Or it's like, it's very one-sided, or you're pitching a player, right? Because you don't have the relationship with them. And because this guy's been at 5 schools in the last 5 years, right? So that part is really hard. And I use this story all the time, Scott Lakatos, because I don't, obviously I haven't seen him in a long time. But Scott Lakatos, didn't matter what college he was at, he always recruited the same area, right? So you built a relate, whether he was at Rutgers, UConn, whoever, Georgia, he still recruited the same area. That's changed dramatically. The guys who are recruiting your area,
you don't know.
Probably dealing with a new guy every 2 years.
It's so true. Yes.
Every 6 months.
I'm always dealing with new guys. It's crazy. It's not what it used to be, man. The only consistency has been like Monmouth. Monmouth has been consistent with Coach K. Cal and Coach Callahan.
Bro, and it's just rare. It's just rare in any facet, right? Like you're not seeing, even if it is the same head coach, you're not seeing the same assistant coaches. I mean, we've seen guys 3 schools in a year, right?
Yeah. All the time I text a guy. Like, perfect example, my running back is interested in Norwich. So I know Nick's spouse was there. So I reached out to Nick's spouse. He's like, yo, I'm not there anymore. He puts me in touch with another guy. And I'm like, all right, let me call him up. And then
that's difficult for you to that's difficult for you to navigate too, because I remember this at the end without it hadn't changed completely yet when I was at Red Bank, because once COVID happened, then transfer portal really became a much bigger deal, like 22, 21. But I just remember, like, okay, texting a guy, hey, I got blah blah. He's like, I'm not there. Exactly what you said. I'm not there. And then the new guy comes in and he doesn't know you. You don't know him. And you're trying to re-pitch him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because basically, this is one of the interesting things. Like, they have the guys on the list, but when a new guy comes, it just names them. He just grabs those names. Okay, I got to go here. He doesn't really know that much until someone green lights a guy to him. He's not hard pitching you on a kid. Like, and he's just basically taking information. And the relationship building is the thing that is the hardest, because when guys not just change schools, but change responsibility areas. So they used to change schools every few years, maybe, but they stayed in the same area of responsibility. Sure. But now they're shifting their responsibilities.
Sure.
That's what I've noticed is so different. Like, different guys are doing different things. And, because the new place they're at maybe wanted a different thing out of them.
Right. Or, hey, this guy knows that area better. I want
that makes it here. Navigating that. And now the kids have to navigate a lot of it on their own, right? And I mean, because I just talked to nobody in the era of information,
nobody knows anything.
They know absolutely nothing.
Nothing. It's so true. I'll give you a perfect example. My quarterback, Johnny Lembo, he got recruited by Jimmy Robertson, who's now at Monmouth.
Yes.
He was at FDU, and Johnny was all in, and he recruited him as a quarterback. Now, I was like, this is awesome, because Jimmy knows his shit, and he's a very good coach. And if he wants Johnny, then I know he's going to be okay, because he's going to develop Johnny, whatever. Now, and this is no disrespect towards the new coach at FDU. However, Jimmy got a better job. He's at Monmouth. My boy Johnny ended up at FDU, and there was no relationship. And guess what?
Nothing.
Johnny transferred out, and now Johnny's at MSU. And I'm praying to God Johnny gets to play there. And I worked it out with Coach Palazzo. He's been nothing but great about it. But that is a perfect example of what you just said. Like, Johnny was fully recruited. He was going there. And then, Coach got another opportunity. And it all went to like nothing, man. Johnny didn't even, he didn't have a great,
wait, he's just another guy coming in.
Yeah, and it is, again, it's not a knock on the coach, because obviously new head coach has their guys and their style that they want. It's not his fault either, right? Because he didn't recruit Johnny.
He's not his guy.
Exactly. And it broke my heart, because Johnny was like, oh my God, like what happens now? Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, and he's the kid's working and he's working, and hopefully he gets an opportunity at Montclair State, which I feel confident he will.
Because that's all you're asking for at the end of the day. Give my kid an opportunity.
Yeah, that's it.
If he doesn't take care of business, that's, you know what I'm saying? But like, I always do, like, hey man, like, I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink, right? Yeah. So like, I'll get you there. I'll put you in the best situation and help you get wherever you need to be. Yep. But ultimately, like, now it's your time, bro. Yeah. Like, you got to go do your part.
It's tough, man.
I think a lot of these guys, we talk about it all the time. Once they Oh, I want to go to this school. Oh, I want to go to this school. Oh, I want this school likes me. That school likes, like, bro, you filled out a questionnaire. You're a name, right? Like, okay, like go somewhere where one, you feel comfortable, because it's more than just football.
Yeah, I
You
told
have
him
to
we're married.
understand, like,
getting married.
yes, football takes up the most amount of your time, but there is a lot more to it. Are you a big school guy? Are you a small school guy? Are you a warm weather guy? Are you a cold weather guy? Like, what are you looking to do with your career, life? What's your path? Now, I understand, like, when we were there, it was, hey, man, this decision is for the next 4 years of your life.
Yeah.
Not like that anymore. Guys just look at it like, all right, well, if I don't like it, I'll just get in the portal and go somewhere else.
No doubt, dude. No doubt. No doubt. It's the truth. It's tough, but I do my best to try to navigate these kids and help these kids. I got a couple kids right now. The main thing, go where you're wanted. There's nothing better than going where you're wanted.
And if you get something, you need to take it.
Let's go. Yeah, like let's go. Go.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You can't. So that's a whole nother.
You can't sit there and well, I'm going to.
Let me collect offers.
Or this guy wants me.
No, what are we doing?
Or hey, this guy sent me a message. It's like, dude, this guy right here said he wants you on the roster right now. Like,
no doubt, bro.
Like, stop waiting for
something. Part of it is like it's not. The system is an issue. So
it's not on
this. It's not really their. Look, they should take responsibility, obviously, but it's not 100% their fault. And that's part of the whole.
No, it's not their fault.
That's the whole issue with the whole system, is that there's no per se fault, and it's not coach's fault.
Right.
It's not the player's fault. Like,
it's the system
that they want. The system, the structure of the system creates a situation where the coaches need to get a new job, and get paid more. Where the players have to try. They're trying to get what they can get from the system
now,
and the system is just for lack of a better word, it's almost a negative driven system. Meaning, like, the transfer portal on its face makes sense, and NIL on its face makes perfect sense, right? But without
it was good in like
parameters, it's one of those things that in theory it's phenomenal,
right?
Everybody gets what they want, right?
Right. Like, hey, NIL, people are going to get paid for you signing your jersey or a little autograph session, not $1 million to like come here and play.
Right. But in practice, you see, listen, I point to this. I don't know if you follow women's basketball, but this year it's been most popular than ever, right?
Sure.
The controversy with the whole LSU thing, and Caitlin Clark, and then Angel Reese gets up there and she's basically like playing, some people are saying she's playing the victim because, it was hard. Well, here's the deal. When we hand 20-year-olds money, okay, they may not make the best decisions. Like, people are like, well, she was in a video, or
you gave her $3 million.
So yes, she's responsible, but I also say, like, she's still a kid, right? It's not 100% her fault. So if the system has a situation where she made a decision thinking it was a good decision at the time, make some money. I'm a pretty girl. Now she feels really bad about it because
society has made
her like she's a supermodel, and the negative things that happen to supermodels where they're analyzing everything about you, right?
They're nitpicking now, right?
It's not 100%. It's not 100% her fault. It's not, someone helping her that's their fault. It's the system has created a situation where, yes, they have to be more accountable for their actions. I agree. But they're kids. Like,
they're kids, bro. They're kids.
Without parameters, they're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
So if you had parameters around it, like, we want you to kind of limit these money-making opportunities, and that's the whole part of it. So that's why you get, to me, like, I think I look at it a little differently. That's why you get a girl on there in a press conference and all the emotions come out because they were the champs last year. They lost, somehow they look at it like we're the enemy. And it's like, no, it's the media that created
brutal
this whole situation. And unfortunately, without parameters in NIL and the transfer portal, like they're trying to get some, but without the parameters, situations like that happen. And a kid, to me, a 21-year-old, like I remember when I was 21, I made a lot of mistakes.
We were happy to get $200.
Yeah. But you're a kid. Like, listen, if I get $200, I blew it the next day. I'm not kidding.
God.
Like, I was at 21. I'm at the bar, like offering free drinks for everybody. I thought $200 was $1 million.
Yes. That's what it is.
So true. So true. Like, and people forget that. Adults forget that all the time. And I remind them all the time, yo, they're kids. I don't care if they're in the NFL. I don't care if they're in the MLB. I don't care what sport it is. Most of these people are kids. Like Rashee Rice. Everyone's going off on Rashee Rice. And yeah, he was wrong. He's 23 years old, bro. He's a young buck. He's just doing kid shit, and he shouldn't be. And I'm not saying it's okay, but why would he do that? Oh my God, he's a kid.
And the relationship that you had with Coach G, right? And Derek had. So as a kid, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, before something like those things happen, you would have felt more comfortable going to your coach and just either turning yourself in or just say, like, I remember, like, even back when I played, like, our coach would be like, something happens, you call me immediately. Like,
he wants to know so he can get to it before it gets.
Yeah, well, listen,
we're not saying he's going to do the wrong thing in this situation.
If guys were in jail, he would say, call me. Yeah, like if something happened, a guy went to jail for. You call coach, like, he's going to try and help you.
I can't explain to you. I mean, think about it. Through all the years, man, you know how many times
that's changed. They have no real mentors. They don't have mentors the same way they and a high school coach is a great mentor, but when they become men, they also need like a college coach as a mentor. Like,
absolutely, like somebody it's like close. Like, yeah, you can call your high school coach and coach, man, whatever, but I'm not there. I don't know this situation, right? Like, and that can all be handled by just picking the right place where you're wanted.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's tough.
And there are, you will make errors, and
you're
that is why the portal is there. But I do think that you're 100%, like, there has to be that kind. Listen, I talked about this too. Like at the Division I level, Division III, I don't think it's necessary. I just think more stability is probably necessary. But at the Division I level, like personnel departments, I think are going to be very important. So the coaches can really just be coaching football and relationships, and not have to recruit until the personnel guy, like in the NFL, hands you what's your thought on this guy.
Here's the 10 guys you need to message.
Which kind of stinks for the high school coaches, but as far as from a relationship standpoint, when they get there, at least they can know, okay, personnel department is the majority of the recruiting is going on there down the line. And then the coach just kind of rubber stamps it. Yeah, this is a guy I can work with, right? And now when that kid comes in, hopefully he can build a relationship with the coach. And the business part is handled by the personnel department. Yeah. Like those guys
that are the best at business, right? Like allow everybody to do their job because they do that job really, really well, rather than have all of these guys doing this job, staying shallow, right? Like this guy has this, you're that guy. This guy has. I just feel like that's a better way to maximize your people's skills and ultimately help everybody come together.
No doubt.
Right? Like who wants to be a Division I, college coach where, all right, I just got off the field. Now I got to grade the tape. I got a meeting now. I got to make sure I send all this to these recruits. This guy's coming in the building. Like, just coach. Yeah. I'll handle the personnel stuff, right? I'll tell, and we've talked about it, Dave, like the new model or how it's, you're going to have GMs of colleges. You're going to have basically business administrators or guys that are going to handle the NIL collective money aspect of it. Or, hey, you're going to have this media appearance. Like you almost you're almost expanding to so many different departments other than just wide receivers coach.
Well, they put the cart before the horse initially, right? So when you put the cart before the horse, they had it before they had these systems. Now guys are trying to catch up. And I think even at D3, it'll be helpful. And then maybe eventually it can get back to coaches building relationships with coaches because they can talk to you. And then, it doesn't, and it's not on them. Like they could build a relationship with you they can hand you your prospects, and you can say, hey, listen, coach, the personnel department's going to take a look at your guy, and then if they think he's good enough, he'll come back to me. But you could build a relationship with them, and then they can follow up on that, and so much less falls on their plate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, NFL model. When I was an agent for 6 years, I've said this on multiple podcasts. The thing that I liked about dealing with the personnel department was they were just like, yes, no, man. Like,
Right.
yes,
Like, I don't have time for bullshit.
I like this guy. I don't. And then when I talked to coaches, like when Hafley was in the NFL, and so personnel said, take a look. I'll forward it on my coach's desk. I'll put it on the coach's desk. I call Hafley when he was a DB coach at San Fran, and Hafley would be like, yeah, if I can get him in, I will, right? So I know that my relationship with the coach is still the relationship with the coach. And then ultimately, if the no came, it was personnel that said no, not my relationship with Hafley that's affected because he couldn't get. Now, a lot of times he did get some of my guys in that were like borderline into mini camp or get a contract. But
that's all you're asking for.
But I knew that the same thing. My college coach was Nick Rapone. That was my defense coordinator. He's a Tampa Bay Bucks safeties coach. And same thing with Nick. Nick would be like, send it over to me. I was fired over to personnel. Call me back in 2 days, right? Personnel did their thing. If personnel said, hey, coach, it's up to you, then he got in. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't, if they said, you know what, I don't think he's good enough for our program, Rapone would say, hey, personnel didn't think he was good enough. If you want to call personnel, you can call them, right? And I thought, you know what? That maintained my relationship with Coach Rapone. He was never put in this situation where you probably see now. I bet you there are coaches that kick some of these coaches out of their offices,
100%.
For BSing them. You know what I mean? So
like, I know you're like just like, dude, like it's just or they just consistently like this guy to a point where you're like, look, get out. Like, it ain't gonna happen. Leave me alone. Like, this is not part of the. You're not doing yourself any favors, because now in the future, when you come back and say, hey, I got a guy, I don't really care because you burnt me on one. You know what I'm saying? Or guys hold grudges. Guys keep receipts.
Receipts, baby.
Receipts. you give us Deion quotes.
How can I not? He's everywhere. He's all over.
I know.
Social media
I just saw his son had what was that? See, I guess I'm not hip. Not I'm 50. So there's what's the car that the truck that he got? What is that? Did you see that, Derek?
No, I didn't see. What, he got a new car and
it's like a futuristic. I don't know.
Cybertruck. Did he get the Cybertruck?
He got the Cybertruck. That's it.
Yeah.
He got the Cybertruck.
It looks like a tank, right?
It looks like a tank. Yeah. Tesla.
That's what he just got. He got the Cybertruck.
He's obviously gone viral through the whole thing of him like.
That's a $200,000. That's a $250,000. That's a $250,000 car.
Is it really?
Yeah, well, he probably made $250,000 smiling, holding up a watch. His watch is $250,000 too.
Who is this?
Shador Sanders got it.
Oh, Shador. Oh shit.
Shador he got that Cybertruck. He posted. It was just.
Of course he posted it.
I saw it yesterday.
Well, listen, and this is what's crazy.
You guys see his truck, Derek? It looks like, what's the movie?
Back to the Future.
Yes. It's like,
it's like that McLaren.
I mean, look, like when we talked to Adam Brenneman, he and I've referenced this on multiple podcasts now. When he was doing all his content stuff, like he had Airbnb, guys were coming to his house. He explained to us like the cars that these dudes were rolling up in. He's like, everything was over like 70,000, 80,000, 90,000. I think about what we rolled up to practice in.
I'm sure.
I still roll up in a RAV4. So
I'm pretty sure I still have.
I have a RAV4.
Yeah, buddy. I got a 2008 Ford F-150, baby.
Oh, there you go.
I ain't rolling in nothing new. I got my 2008 baby, my truck.
Listen, I like I said, I think I still have parking tickets from Montclair State, so we're good.
Hey, I got a question. Totally shifted gears a little bit about. So obviously, you're in the county that has some of the best parochial schools.
Sure.
Do you have? Because I always thought that Lyndhurst had a little bit of isolation from this, but I could be wrong. Do you guys retain players at a higher level than you would say like your peers around your area from?
Definitely. So and if we don't, so, I don't want to word this without being arrogant.
Be arrogant. You're
sometimes
fine.
I lose kids, but they always come back. Okay.
Yep.
They always
That's
come
nothing.
back.
Listen, that's normal.
Sometimes I lose kids, but they always come back. But I think the culture we built here speaks for itself, and kids don't want to leave. We have great facilities.
That's what I was just going. Facilities itself, dude.
The facilities itself, we have great coaching. We have, all three sports. I'm talking boys' side, but like all three seasons, rather. We have great coaches in the fall, winter, spring.
That's a good way to put it.
So I feel I am a little arrogant about it. I feel like we got it going well here, and I think kids are silly if they go somewhere else. Now, regardless of your talent and how good you are, because I think that you have a great opportunity. We have connections too. Speaking for myself, I know tons of guys in college and tons of people,
right,
especially knowing you and everyone else. Like, if we have someone that good, we're going to get them looked at. And Rutherford just showed very strongly how true that is, because that that tight end Ward was an absolute specimen. And he didn't have that many. I think he had one touchdown last year, and it was against me, wide open. I'm yelling on the headset, why are we leaving Travis Kelce wide open when we know he's getting the ball? Fred Kitchens is in the end zone. Pregame, where my D coordinator is like, guys, they're going to get this kid the ball. His OC is here from UNC. We had him double covered. Somehow we leave him wide open for a 70-yard touchdown on a seat down the middle of the field. I don't know how that happens. But anyway, my point is, clearly, if you're that good, you're going to get recruited and you're going to go somewhere big. That kid's at UNC right now, and he deserves every minute of everything he's got because the kid is a stud.
Right.
And so you don't have to leave Rutherford. You don't have to go to DePaul or Bergen Catholic to get recruited there. As a matter of fact, I think you're at a disadvantage if you could be very good and not play. Look at Nolan James. I know his father well, my boy. Nolan didn't really play much at Bosco. He went to DePaul, and he's a killer. The kid's a stud. It's just and now he went to DePaul. He ended up getting a full ride. I think he's going to BC. I think.
Yeah, he's got a ride to BC. Yeah.
I know Nolan since Nolan was on our sideline. Nolan and Junior, both of those kids, both James boys, on our side. Like Big Nolan was coaching with us. They were little kids just wrestling each other on the side. It was sick, and I watched those kids grow up too. Like, it's unbelievable. And just a perfect example. Like, and those kids, they don't live in Lyndhurst. They moved to Westwood. Like Big Nolan had a plan for those kids. And,
of course,
and it worked out well.
Yes.
They don't even go to the same school. One goes to Dunbarton, one goes to DePaul now for their own, sports.
Right, they each have their own path. That now
correct.
Now that's a little different, right? Because we deal with parents all the time, and most of them have no idea how to operate.
That's my point, process. Right? I'm so glad you're saying it. That was my point. That's the difference there, right? Like, there's kids that just on a whim say, I want to go here. Like, Nolan's path.
This has been
His
calculated.
Dad, he didn't have loyalty to Lyndhurst or Westwood where they live, or like he had loyalty to, I want my son to have the best opportunity possible, and this is how we're going to do it. And he did that. Where on the flip, these other people don't have plans. They just have wishes. And, they have a wish or a dream without any work getting into it or no plan. They go to research, school thinking they're going to do shit.
They're just
and
going
they're not.
What they saw.
And then they're back home and they realize, I could have played here the whole time. What am I doing? I have a guy here that actually cares. And I just had a recruiting meeting. Let's just say a recruiting meeting. A couple weeks back, I met with parents that are in 8th grade, right? They asked to meet with me, to talk to me. A couple things that I make sure I don't do. I don't talk bad about any other school. I don't knock any other school. I don't say anything like that. All I do is sell us and our program and myself. If your kid comes here, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to help your son. I'm going to try to I'm going to be on him in school. I'm going to be on him out of school. And then you're going to have someone that's here for you. You have a direct channel to your kid all day. You need something, you call me. I'll help your kid out. I'll get you whatever you need. If you send him to another school, who knows? I can't tell. I have no idea. So that's on you as the parent. That's my selling point when I try to get kids to come here to Lyndhurst High School. That's my thing.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when I was at Powell Park, that was the same thing that would happen. It was we had no culture. We built the culture.
Yeah.
But the kids would come back. They would go to pro schools and they would come right back. And I mean, half of my stars were guys that had left initially and came back after their freshman or sophomore year.
Wimbush, right? Didn't you have Wimbush? Who was your
No,
quarterback?
my quarterback was De Silva, who went to
Oh, yeah,
Paramus
stud.
Catholic.
I mean, absolute stud.
Yeah, he went to Paramus Catholic initially his first year. And, but the thing, like what you do, like we would meet with the eighth graders in every one of the schools. And we used to, at the end, we started welcoming the seventh graders just so we could, talk to them too.
Sure.
But they would all the kids that were the studs in rec would be like, I'm going here, I'm going here. And I always used to say to them, I'm like, listen, no, I would tell them this. You got to do what's best for you, but this door is always open, right? This door is always open.
I think that's the most important thing. You don't burn bridges, right?
Yep. Like, and they would come back.
Yeah.
100%.
Silva came back. Charles Simons came back from Bergen Catholic, right? And there's a couple other guys, and it made a big. Obviously, they were stars, for us, and they were really good players. But they were gonna play. They were gonna play, but they were not gonna be stars, right? Not have the opportunity to be a star. And then they were like, you know what? My friends are telling me that this is great.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna come back. Like they're saying, hey man, we could, if we have you guys, and they were so surprised at the fact that when they came back, it was like they never left, right? So
for sure.
I think making them feel that way, which you do, is a great thing, and they know, the parents know, and then what happens is, I think over time they just choose to not leave, right?
Yeah,
because they just choose to not leave because they're like, you know what, like these other guys have left and came back, and it worked out great for them when they came back. Why should I even bother?
Well, I don't want to go
through the process
leaving of having to go somewhere else and then come back. Like, I'm just gonna stay and play with my boys for the jump.
Yeah, man, no doubt.
Well, it's been really good having you on, Coach. I mean, fantastic. Really, really good. Anything else you want to leave us with?
No, listen, I appreciate you guys having me on. Derek, thanks for this opportunity. Coach Schuman, I appreciate you, man. I love this, man. And I told Derek, I'm like, yo, I'm excited. He's like, we're just going to talk ball. I was like, let's go. He's like, Coach Schuman, right? I said, yeah, I know him forever. Like, let's do it. And I'm happy to do it, man. Anytime you guys want me on, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you again. Seriously, appreciate you guys.
Next time we'll actually get into some X's and O's or something.
I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do it. I love talking run game, man. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, we know about that.
Oh, we know you guys run the ball, boy. Yeah, no doubt about that.
I love talking that run game, pound that rock.
And you got a running back as your OC, so I know you're between you and him.
Head coach was a guard. OC was a running back. Like,
anybody
that wants to run the ball, just head to Lyndhurst. There you go.
That's so true, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate
All right, Coach. Have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Take care.
Bye. That was great. Awesome.
Interesting, man. Like, that town that's awesome.
Yeah, it's probably a town that you don't know that much about because being from out in Butler. But
yeah, like he said, it's it's an hour away.
I happen to know because my best friend, I've spent a lot of time in that town because my best friend from home.
I think it's cool you live there.
His brothers, I lived there once, but his cousins, like we would go over there. You know what I mean? Like I would, I know his cousins. And
obviously, like him coming into, I'm from Lyndhurst, I'm from Lyndhurst, like everybody talk but certain guys, like, he talks about Lyndhurst the way I talk about Butler, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's really wild that, we're just fortunate enough, and look, it has to do, like, that's why we flocked to Montclair State, right? Like, we knew that was, that type of program is that culture that we had in high school, basically. And I don't think you get that when you go to, some of these bigger time schools. Like, you can talk about maybe Notre Dame has that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of, maybe I would compare it to something like that, but it's just so different. And listen, man, 11 years as the head coach at Lyndhurst, like, that's a long time already. And he's young. He's my age. We're not even 40.
Yeah, no, he's. I never lasted more than 7. So,
but I'm just saying, like, if he wants to ride that wave,
he could be there for 30 years if he wants to be. Obviously, actually, he still would be young. 20 years from now, he would.
Yeah, he'd still only be
60. Not even. Yeah, around 60. So, By the way, I have to say that that's young because that now that I'm 50, I'm like, what's the next milestone? Oh, 60. Okay. Derek, that's so mind boggling to me. It's
You better journal. You better start writing it down. Like, hey, this is how I feel at age 50, right?
it ain't as good as how I felt at 40. I can tell you that. And it's definitely not as good as I felt at 30. And at 20,
And it sure as hell ain't as good as we felt at 20.
I didn't feel anything at 20. So sometimes that was my choice.
Absolutely.
But anyway, yeah. So, no, that was a great one. And
I'm glad you asked that question too about him losing kids, because you feel like, look, anytime you mention a Bergen County school,
well, they're in a
right,
hotbed area.
like you always like, and look, he referenced that kid, the kid from Rutherford who was dominant tight end, and obviously like just rare, right? Like even Park Ridge had a Division I guy this year, right? It's like some of these smaller Bergen County schools have those kids, and it does push to say, look, if you stay home, you can still get what you want, or something of that nature. So, I don't know. I just think he's done a really great job over there, and then like he said, everything aligns in terms of
no doubt.
and it's not just school based; it's town wide too. Like those people contribute to. Like Lyndhurst is obviously, that town is at the stadium on a Friday night.
Oh,
regardless of if he's 7-0 or 1-7.
Oh, but they're there, and we I really didn't get to talk about any of the highs and lows of like Group 2 programming, but he's done a nice job of keeping it like you're gonna have some lows every once in a while because that's just how it is at a Group 2 public school. But he's able to really minimize that, and he's winning so much. And Lyndhurst has always had, like, going back to when I was in high school, they always had athletes and they always had guys that were fast. And it's funny because when I was in high school, there was like a couple of really good football players they had that were a couple years older than me. And I remember we were running track against them, and they were jacked, and I was already pretty jacked, but I was like,
but you're just like this guy.
That's what I want to look like when I'm a senior.
Right.
I want to be yoked like that in my tank top. You know?
You're guinea
I was, by the way. I was, but I'm like, I want to be yoked like that, running around in my tank top, in the hurdles and stuff, because I'm like, they'll notice me. I'm yoked like that, But they had a big weight room tradition. Like Coach Shoebridge was like that. He was amazing.
I also think when
he's great friends with my father too, Coach
Of
Shoebridge.
course. I mean, you would think Bergen County guys that have been there a long time, seeing the same faces. I mean, think about it. How many times has your dad competed against him in track?
Oh, they used to have great competitions.
But I also think that when you can take what he's done culturally, right, and bring it across sports in the school, now it changes everything. Because when these guys go and run track, it's the same type of mentality as when they put a helmet on.
Think of the bases they cover. So the OC is the baseball coach. The head coach is the track coach. I mean, you're covering the two.
And then what did he say? He said another one of his assistants is the wrestling coach.
Right. So they're covered. So you're seeing
the same type of culture every season as you move along. Now it starts to trickle down to,
and they work with each other.
This is the school culture.
And they're going to work with each other more. So that's the other thing that I think that honestly, Lyndhurst's model is the model how it used, like back when I was in high school. Maybe start a little bit at Butler, but we like how it was in our high school back in the day.
Oh, it was the same for us.
Yeah, like that model.
Like the assistant coaches, like they just went like who coached basketball, who coached.
I'm coaching with him. Exactly.
Who does track, who does baseball, who does even like
it's the rare thing.
Even this guy. Hey, this guy does girls basketball.
What I like about Lyndhurst that what they're doing with that is they're not afraid to give the core guys in football multiple stipends. Meaning, you're the head baseball coach, you're the OC, you're the head football coach, you're the head track. Like, if you notice that a lot of public schools they
got to spread it around.
This guy's basketball. This guy's baseball. Nobody coaches with each other. Spreading around all the one.
Oh, this guy's in the building, so he can do this job. And how about like, hey, this guy's a really good
They're on
coach.
each other's staffs. Put them on
Like,
each
this
other's
guy's
staffs.
a good coach. Like, hey, man, this is your season to be the head coach. All right, now, hey, this is my season. Like,
Right.
it's kind of like what Debonta does at Montville.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know.
So, like,
Well, he
he's the head
coaches all of it
football
himself.
coach, but like, hey, he OC is, you know, the basketball coach, and then he now he goes to wrestling. Like, Devonta's the assistant wrestling coach, right? Somebody else is the head coach. Now they go to baseball season. Somebody else does this.
The more you do that, the better.
I think that's a great way to sustain the culture that you want, not just football, school.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. I think it is. I get why it's harder nowadays because probably
100%.
a lot of people want those stipends. So they're like, you know.
But they want, and it's frustrating because they want those stipends for like the wrong reason.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hey, I'm
yeah,
doing
yeah.
this. I can grab a quick, you know, Even the guy, listen, even the guy with the weight room stipend, man. Like, don't just walk in there, put your arms down, and wait for everybody to like, oh, how many sets you got? Like, no, go in there and think of it as I'm coaching, right? Like, how can I help this guy? How can I help these guys? Don't just be that guy in the corner, right? That's like, hey, I'm getting $3,500 to do this for the next 2 months. Like, come on, man. Like, go and do something with it. I just think it's different because, like you said, a lot of districts now, they got to spread it around, and this guy needs this or this guy.
I understand
deserves
why,
that.
but it just erodes the culture. I understand why, but
Of course, got to keep everybody happy, buddy.
The question is, are they actually happy? So
hell no. They think they want to be sitting there for how many sets you got, bro? Like, oh, I got this track. I got an indoor track meet. Oh God.
Right.
Come on, track meets are long, bro.
It's incredible.
Track meets time-wise might be the longest thing in high school sports. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can talk about wrestling matches like counties or something like that, but that's
track meets are long. They're very long. Very, 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 very.
All right, well,
we
just killed this week. That was 3 this week.
That was great.
And we got a biggie next Friday, baby.
Next Friday. Is that the
That's the combo.
Yeah, so I gotta get that.
We'll leave it at that. We'll tease it.
We'll tease it. That'll be a great one. All right.
2 former guests, baby.
2 former guests. We'll have them on.
I
don't even know if we have to talk. So
which that's saying something.
We might not even have to say. We might just have to throw out some questions and let them go. You know, but all right, we'll get off and we'll see you all next time.
All right, guys.